the rescue team stopped digging because they heard knocking from under the ice. The date was November 17, 2016. A research convoy of 6 scientists and 2 pilots flew deep into Antarctica aboard a twin-engine transport aircraft, heading toward a temporary ice monitoring station near the Thwaites Glacier. The mission was simple: retrieve data modules and return before a forecasted storm closed the skies. The aircraft touched down on a frozen runway surrounded by endless white silence, unloaded equipment, and waited with engines idling. But Antarctica never follows plans. Within minutes, the wind rose violently. Visibility collapsed to 0, and the ice beneath the plane began to crack like glass under pressure. Before anyone could react, the ground gave way. The aircraft slid, tipped, and disappeared nose first into a newly formed ice fissure, dragging 4 people with it into a frozen abyss. When the world stopped spinning, Dr. Elias Moreau woke upside down, suspended by his harness in complete darkness. His breath came out in white clouds. Below him was nothing but black water and shattered ice. The plane had wedged itself between the walls of the crevasse, preventing it from sinking completely, but barely. Fuel leaked somewhere in the dark. The cold was not painful yet. It was worse. It was numbing, creeping, patient. Elias cut himself free and dropped onto a tilted metal surface. Around him, groans echoed. 2 others were alive: pilot Sarah Klein and engineer Marcus Reed. The rest were gone, swallowed instantly by the ice and water. They had no radio signal, no light except a single flickering emergency lamp. Above them, the crevasse narrowed into a jagged slit of pale blue sky nearly 25 meters up. Climbing it without gear was impossible. Sarah tried the emergency transmitter. Dead. The battery had cracked on impact. Marcus attempted to break a window to escape into the water, but the pressure and cold would kill them in seconds. The only option was to survive where they were and hope someone noticed they hadn't returned. But Antarctica doesn't rush. Storms bury evidence. People disappear quietly. Hours passed. The lamp died. Darkness became total. They huddled together to share warmth, listening to the ice groan and shift. Every sound felt like a countdown. Elias focused on breathing, on staying conscious. Sleep meant death. To fight it, he talked about his daughter, about summers in France, about anything warm. Marcus stopped responding sometime during the night. Hypothermia took him without drama. One moment he was there, the next he wasn't. They didn't cry. Crying wasted heat. By the second day, Sarah's hands were blackened with frostbite. She could no longer feel her fingers. Elias tore strips from insulation and wrapped them around her arms, but it was symbolic at best. The plane shifted again, dropping several inches. Ice shattered below them. Water splashed their boots. If the fuselage slid even a meter more, it would plunge into the freezing sea beneath the glacier. Hours turned into a full day with no sign of the aircraft. One commander suggested calling it off. In Antarctica, survival beyond 24 hours in such conditions was statistically impossible. But one rescue engineer argued something strange. The fuel consumption data suggested the plane had been idling at the time of loss, meaning it might not have sunk completely. That single detail bought Elias and Sarah a few more hours of human effort. Back in the crevasse, Sarah began to hallucinate. She spoke to people who weren't there. Her breathing slowed dangerously. Elias slapped her gently, then harder, forcing her eyes open. He knew the truth but refused to accept it. If she died, he would follow. Humans don't survive alone for long. He dragged her upright and began banging on the aircraft's outer frame with a metal rod, not because he believed anyone could hear, but because action was the only thing keeping him alive. On the surface, the rescue team drilled through layers of ice, following weak sonar reflections. Then, suddenly, they heard it. Faint, rhythmic knocking, human knocking. The entire operation froze. Silence fell. The sound came again, 3 slow impacts, a pause, then 3 more. Someone was alive. The drilling intensified, but every meter risked collapsing the crevasse further. Below, Elias heard the drilling too. It sounded like thunder from another universe. He screamed until his throat tore, pounding the metal with everything left in his body. The plane shifted violently. Water surged up to his knees. Time broke apart. Pain stopped mattering. After nearly 6 hours of precision drilling, a rescue shaft broke through into the crevasse wall. A rope dropped through the blue darkness. Elias tied it around Sarah first. She was barely conscious, lips blue, eyes unfocused. As she was pulled upward, the fuselage finally gave way. The aircraft slid, tearing free from the ice. Elias jumped, grabbed the rope, and felt the world fall beneath him as the plane vanished into the black water below. He was pulled out moments before the crevasse sealed again under collapsing ice. Sarah lost both hands to frostbite but lived. Elias survived with permanent lung damage and scars that never faded. Of the 8 who went in, only 2 came out. The official report called it an extraordinary rescue under extreme conditions. Elias called it something simpler. He called it borrowed time, and every winter night, when the world is quiet, he still hears the sound of ice cracking, waiting patiently, the way it always does.